looking at section 7.3. We will be evaluating the e function, which is the natural base e from the mathematician Euler. Some people say Euler, whichever. We'll be looking at this particular function today. The Euler number is an approximate 2.7182. It's kind of like pi, one of those never-ending decimals. And we're going to be using this particular number, this particular e value, in word problems that talk about continuous growth or biological growth, some banking problems that use the continuous growth. So we'll be using this e value. This e button is on your calculator. If you look above the divide sign, you're going to see the small letter e right there. So to find it, go second divide sign, and you will see that number. If you just want to pull your calculator out and practice real quick, go second e and then have that number raised to the first power. Hit the enter button and you should see that it comes up 2.7182 and so on. When we work expressions with e, they're going to work the same way as any other variable when they're raised to a power. So you're going to need to remember all those exponent properties that we've been talking about before. For instance, this first one, e to the second times e to the fifth, you need to remember your product rule. Product rule says add your powers, so this is just as easy as e raised to the seventh. Quotient property, remember, says to subtract your powers, but if you have constants that are in the front, remember to divide those. 4, 12 divided by 3 is 4, and then use your quotient property, which says to subtract the powers, e to the first. Product raised to a power, remember you need to go backwards to everything that you see on the inside of the brackets. 5 to the negative 2, and then power to a power, now you get to multiply your exponents. Negative 3x times negative 2, e to, oops, already got that on there, sorry, e to the positive 6x. Can't leave a negative power, so the 5 is going to flip to the bottom. E to the 6x is going to stay right there. 5 squared goes to the bottom. Carry that out over 25. On page 493, you're going to see 5 very simple questions that ask you to work on your powers for exponents and so on. So I want you to put this on pause real quick and work through those 5 questions, and then underneath the slide you will see the answers. So quick, put it on pause. Talk through those 5 samples very quickly. These are on page 493. And then here's my chicken scratch for the answers. E to the 11th, number 2, 12e squared. Number 3 is 6e to the 3rd. Number 4, when you go backwards, 10 to the 3rd, e to the negative 12x. The negative 12 will flip to the bottom. 10 to the 3rd is 1,000, and then over e to the 12x. And in number 5, you get to practice using your calculator. E raised to the, I believe it's to the 3/4. You could have put this in a couple different ways. E raised to the 3/4 as a fraction would be parenthesis, 3 divide 4 parenthesis, and then hit equals. Or you could do e raised to the 0.75, and you'll come up with 2.117. So the latest new little hobby that I've gotten into during the summertime is with my sister-in-law, and she's teaching me how to make quilts, wall-hanging quilts. When we're doing the e function with banking, it is specifically for word problems that use the phrase compounded continuously. So instead of using your regular banking formula, which was the initial value 1 plus rate over n raised to the nt, if you now see specifically the phrase compounded continuously, we're going to switch to this formula right here. A equals P times E raised to the RT. So E is going to be our Euler number. P again is the initial principal that we're going to put into the question. E, of course, will be our E value on our calculator. R is the rate that the bank will give us, and then T stands for time. So when you're trying to remember this formula, P times E raised to the RT, if you say PERT, maybe that'll help you, P-E-R-T. So here's a very quick sample. We're going to deposit $3,000 at a rate of 3.5% compounded continuously. So here's that phrase when you see compounded continuously. we know we need to use this formula right here. 3.5%, remember always, always move your decimal point 2 spots, 0.35, that's the value we're going to be putting in for R. First one here says to write the model. Remember, when you write the model, you're not solving, you're just writing what it's going to look like when you plug in the values. A equals 3,000 times e raised to the 0.035t, so that'll be the answer to the first part. And then what's the balance after 3 years? Now you actually get to solve the question. In place of the letter t, you're going to be putting in the number 3 right there. 3,000 times e raised to the 0.035 times 3. And remember to use your little raise to the button. You can just type that right into your calculator. And hopefully, well, let's see, hopefully you're going to come up with this value. 33.32 And then we've got one question. This one is in your homework. I think it might be day 6. You'll see question number 58. I'll work this one with you right now. So if you look in your book, page 498. Question number 58, well, I guess it might be page 497. Sorry, page 497. Question 58. You're going to deposit $8,000 in an account that pays 2.65 annual interest compounded continuously, 2.65%, and we're going to plug in $800. What's the balance after 12.5 years? In this phrase, you see the words compounded continuously. So again, that means you're going to have to use your PERT formula. A equals P. There's our $800. E raised to the 2.65%, 0.0265. Make sure you get your decimal move 2 spots. E raised to the 0.0265t. There's your model. And then when we solve, A equals 800, e raised to the 0.0265 times 12.5. Use your calculator, plug this in. 1114.16. Remember, never round your pennies up. And there should be your answer for question number 58. And I do believe that's it for this particular section. So the biggest thing for the e value is that you need to remember that the e raised to powers, you're going to use all of your different power properties that we've been dealing with all year long. And if it is specifically compounded continuously, you're going to use a brand new formula called PERT. Please go to your cheat sheet for your final and add this formula. And next to that, I would definitely put the words compounded continuously so you remember when you're going to be using this. Okay, that's it. Please now go to Skyward and answer your 3 questions for section 7.3 E values.